Bonjour. How is
Bonjour.
everyone doing?
Awesome. How's it going, Liz?
It's going. It's going. We're having a good day here today. We started out with Gary Farmer, so that's gotta be good right out of the gate. And then Adonis Rose Green, the star photographer. And then the last panel we had Pam and Rihanna. I mean, it's just really, I forgot to say, with Gary Farmer, we had Missy Whiteman and Curtis Kirby. So it's just like, you know, if I could have dreamed a day, I couldn't have dreamed a better day. You know, this is and now we have Hugh here, Chaz. This is we're hoping to talk about you know, like jobs and audio production, but you know, it's you and Jeremy, and it's about music too. That's the foundation, I know, for this crew here. But there, you know, and other opportunities then that come with that, like just having the ear, having the attention to sound and sequence and patterns and all those things that lend itself to audio work. So whether it's a podcast or it's radio or you know, whatever it is. So we're just going to start with a little bit of an introduction from each of you, just so you can say, you know, what you're doing now, you know, whatever you want to tell us, and then we'll start to get more focused as we go along. So why don't you go ahead, Chaz?
All right. Bonjour. Chaz Wagner, inDIGIfest. I'm from Nett Lake, Minnesota, Ojibwemowining, and I work for KBFT 89.9 FM radio in Bois, Forte, Travel Radio in Nett Lake. And I've been there doing that for about 6 years now. I'm going on, and I'm a DJ. I'm a legacy project coordinator, and what that does is I work with Minnesota grants, and I put on cultural related events with artists, musicians, writers. I just work with everybody, and it's just awesome. It's a good place to start to network in this music business, this music industry. I play in a band called Bonnet. You might have heard of them, and we're from Nett Lake. I have a couple of members that are tribal members from different reservations. Tony Parson, he's from Leech Lake descendant, and Leah Lem, Malak's band, has just joined the lineup. So yeah, I mean, we're just you know, plowing ahead. I also sing on the Bois Forte traditional drum, and having that music background has really helped with that, and being a vocalist, it's really helping me with my singing, not just with the power drums, but like in the rock band, and you know, reaching those different ranges that you sing with the powwow drum. It's just helped immensely with my music. So it all coincides. I've done podcasting in the past. I started up a language-based podcast. It was called Anishinaabe Time, and it's still kind of on the back burner because I'm just so busy. When I started the War Bonnet project, I was looking for a home base for it. So I reached out to some record companies and people that I knew that put out music before. I think I reached out to Res Rap Records to see if they wanted to put me on their label. And then I just started thinking, well, I should just start one myself. So now I have this record label. It's called Starscream Records, and I'm going to be producing other bands, and they're going to go on the label. So some of the local bands that I really like, you know, and help them out, and they're going to come here. This is kind of like my War Bonnet studio here in my home, in my basement. Has everything here that I need. You know, as I have all kinds of gear, whatever you think of, I have, you know, and what you see is I have way more stuff than this too. So yeah, I don't know what else I could say.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Chaz. Yeah, the home studio that, you know, in our basement, right? That's where it gets done. That's where the magic happens. Right on. Speaking of magic, JG, why don't you give us a little bit of an intro?
How y'all doing? My name is Jeremy Gardner. I'm also called JG. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I've been here 7.5 years now. I really tell stories and help other people tell their stories. And I have like this kind of voice that's like in this frequency, talking audio now, you know, in that frequency where if I talk for a long time, it kind of get lost. So I think making music and now getting more into film, those are good ways to tell those stories for me, especially. And I know sometimes stuff that I say is it gets lost also because I connect stuff from all over, from here, from like the past, from, you know, what I'm thinking into the future and stuff like that. Sometimes it get lost. So I know if I get to talking too long about stuff and I'm like pulling from everywhere at one time, my mind is all over the place. It kind of get lost. And I know for sure that that music and like I say, film now more so is helping me to get a point across or to say something. Yeah, I have been doing music. Well, obviously we all sing and stuff whenever we, you know, babies and up, you know, but like consciously started to make music when I was like 8 or 9, like writing my own music. I remember the teacher taking my pad and stuff like that and then reading it to the class. It was like all kind of crazy stuff. it's like, man, you in the third, no, was it like the 4th grade or something like that? It was like, what you doing talking about all this? But I mean, you know, a lot of it was just talking, but I mean, a lot of it is also, you know, it's kind of stuff that you experience wherever you're from or whatever. I ain't getting into all of that, but yeah, so I've been making music and really producing music so I wrote music and then I was producing since I was 13. And now I'm 28. So I'm still definitely young. But yeah, so, and video, I was recording video when I was younger, middle school and stuff like that, high school, but I didn't really like try to do nothing with it until I came here and, you know, started working at Fond du Lac Tribal and Community College. I work in the Ojibwemowining Digital Art Studio and been working here, like I was saying earlier on, for about 7 years now, 6.5, 7 years. And I was a work study student. It's crazy. It's crazy that music is like a part of the reason, like it was, you know, that gift is part of the reason why I'm still here, honestly, you know. My wife and I, we met for a Christmas event here. I met her and her family here. And then Liz came up and introduced herself and was like, hey, I heard you produce music at the same event. So it's like two of the key like things that in my life, you know, to keep me here happened like in the same night when I was singing, and I didn't even want to sing. My wife and I was just at like a gathering, just kind of for, you know, the recent events where like Asian Americans like been treated, you know, all kind of wrong, you know, and they held something in Duluth and we seen the singing instructor there, and I was like, I brought it to his attention, and I was reminded, oh yeah, you were the reason. Like like you was like, no, you should really sing. You should sing. So I ain't gonna go into all of that. But yeah, so singing, music, all of that. Like I said, my mind is like all over the place. Like it connects all these different stories. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it is, when you're in the, trying to hold true to your dream, to your flow, to what you're doing, and so you're always aware and paying attention to what's going on around you, and then the opportunities present themselves. And if you feel prepared or not, whether you're going to step forward and accept that, or whether you're going to work on it in your home studio and for a while instead, and all of those different things moving towards jobs, right? Like, okay, in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to worry about going out and getting money to pay the bills. But in a realistic sense, yeah, we have to have a job. And so if it can align with what what our passion is, with what fuels or feeds our spirit, then that is really a blessing. And so like I'm thinking about that time when I showed up and we talked, Jeremy, and I was like, hey, I heard you make beats on your laptop. Like, okay, I'm old school. I didn't even really understand that when kids were saying beats, they meant like the whole audio track. I was like I'm thinking drum beats, But I heard somebody say that to me. Yeah, he makes beats on his laptop, and I'm just like, okay. So
yeah.
So and that just kind of unfolded into this. Chaz, how did you get started doing what you're doing?
You want the long story or the short story?
That's up to you. We got until 4:45 or 4:50.
I guess it all started back when I was really, really young. My parents used to listen to the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Queen. So that's what I grew up doing, is listening to music, and it all started there. Later on in life, or not later on, but I think as a teenager, my dad picked up a Fender Stratocaster for me, and that's what I learned guitar on. And I just picked it up like it was, so easy, like talking, I just picked it up. And next thing you know, I'm playing like lead guitar, and then I just started playing other instruments. Like I started playing like tapping on my legs and stuff. So then he started getting me like drum pads and keyboards, and anything that he bought me, I could just play. And and then working. I guess I started playing in like cover bands in high school, and it progressed from there. And I was like, yeah, I want to start recording my own music, and started writing a few tunes, and you just pick up some gear here and there, and next thing you know, it all just progresses. And and you're picking up better gear, and picking up recorders, and next thing you know, you're producing your own music, and something like that. But
when did you start working at KBFT?
About 6 years ago. I think 2015. And it took a while to learn all the ins and outs, and learning how to develop your personality and radio personality, and getting comfortable behind the boards, and picking out music. And it's just very, very much part of my life. And music and music production. Now that I've been producing the War Bonnet stuff, like I have an appreciation for everything. I can just tell how everything is recorded in the sequence, and I like listening to the different recordings to see how they balance the mix, because there really is no set right or wrong way. It's really how you see your music, because everything that I listen to, it's produced different. So and that way I develop an appreciation for everything that's out there, and I love music that much more because of it. The radio stuff. I produce a lot of radio segments for KBFT, and I'm also contracted out of Ampers once in a while to do pieces for them at their request too. So, yeah.
Thanks. So there were some people in the audience who might not know what Ampers is.
Ampers is a company out of the Twin Cities, and they control, or they have, they give like grants to smaller radio stations for so they can build up their audience and have like community events, community-based radio. They give out funding for that. I think there's like 13 or 16 stations that they help out. KBFT is one of those stations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think our station is too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so like all of these connections and recognizing where content can go and what would work in this particular gig or this particular station or this particular podcast or anything like that. You really have to be kind of like a juggling artist, because if you, I mean, I'll speak for myself. If I were to only focus on my singing, and at least for me in Indian country, I could be busy, like on weekends, right? And then what am I going to do the rest of the week? Right? Or if I were to only look at, production work or whatever, I would be busy here. And maybe that's because we're in rural communities, maybe, whatever. And now with digital, this is opening up. And I know that that Jeremy, he's got stuff going on all the time through his computer. He's like, I had to interrupt him coaching somebody on something earlier. And so how, if you have any advice, that you could give to people out there who are, maybe they're just getting involved, or maybe there's something that they thought, I really love to do this, but how am I going to get a job? How am I going to make a job out of this? I don't know if JG, if you want to pick that up, or Chaz. Or...
Yeah, I would say just go for it. Especially if you're young, you have a lot of time, and if you're living with your parents, it's going to ease some of that cost there that you don't have to worry about. Or if you're in college, you might be living with a family. That would be the perfect time to just jump and do what you want to do. If music is something you want to pursue, go for it, because life is short. You don't want to be looking back and say, hey, I should have done that, I should have done that. But really, just if you want to be a musician, if you want to be a music artist or anything in life, just put the time in. Hone the craft, play guitar, work on your vocals, practice the drums, start there, and then move on. And then it's just like anything, you have to do it every single day to get proficient. And once you become proficient as a musician, and then start moving on, start writing songs, buying equipment with your money that you've earned playing live shows, or if you might have cool parents that support what you do, like me, like my parents support me, and it's awesome to have family like that, and it's a big helping. You could also apply for grants. There's many grants in Minnesota that are willing to help artists out there. Look there. You could just do a search on the computer, on Google, and stuff will come up. And just go hard. If that's what you want to do, just go hard and do it.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying true. And that's something that I guess another way of saying that too, like that I think in that way is like, more and more I realize how intentional I'm to be with the things that I do, or that I want to, be involved in and stuff like that. And I guess in different seasons, like, you're to be like different ways about how you do what you want to do. But but definitely intentional is one of those things that stay in there, you know, especially like you mentioned, you know, it's like so much time, you know, and time is one of the most, well, it is like one of the most valuable things that we have, you know, so, but yeah, some of the stuff that I worked on, like my background, it was like a lot of like rap and then also singing stuff. So yeah, I started off with that, and a lot of how I was able to acquire, I guess, some like the skills, I guess with the gifts that I already had, like to acquire certain skills was I needed so I started rapping and stuff like that. I needed beats. And then I learned how to make beats. I needed to record, you know, I learned how to record, and then other people started coming around and, you know, wanted help in that way, you know, wanted to, I guess, kind of hire me out and different things like that. So I guess a lot of how I am is I'm a kind of a problem solver. So I can catch on to things pretty quick. Yeah, so I guess that's my thing about how I am, you know, with audio and stuff like that. But one thing that I wanted to say is I'll show you something that some stuff that I've been working on, and I ain't gonna take too long. Just show you like snippets of it. But I want to start like making like more film stuff and using audio for that. And I'll add a link here for like my music and stuff like that too. But I'll show you one track that I did. It was like just kind of like a, how do you say, like a recap kind of thing of a weekend. It was a weekend in Walker, Minnesota, with my wife's best friend and her now fiance. We just helped out with them getting engaged, and I'm supposed to be working on that video. But I wanted to kind of just play around with getting better with film and, you know, cinematography and stuff like that. And then I needed a song, so and I just started playing with the trumpet. I don't really play that good. I kind of suck. And then like the and the trumpet, like one of the valves, it's like all stuck. so whenever I push it down too hard, it like goes. So it's like kind of crappy trumpet as well. But you know, I played it and it came out pretty decent. And one of the big reasons why I want to start doing a lot of film is because I have different ideas that's just bouncing around my head, and I've always wanted to play with that. Like really, like my brother and I, we wanted to, like, you know, I'm kind of like, I guess, from the hood. Well, people say, but like you wouldn't guess. It's like kids that, you know, it's like we like teenagers thinking, or like preteens thinking, man, I want to, like, we making like gangster music right now, but I want to like make music for Pixar, you know, like, like that's, you know, it's like a normal thing. So it's like contrary to what I guess people put out, you know, but like I'll really wanted to do that kind of stuff. So I'll stop talking and I'll show y'all this film that I did, and I did the audio for it too. And it's also me singing. Sometimes people think that I'm sampling stuff because I try to make my voice different ways. And but here's that. It's called Like the Wind. Did a little bit of color correcting stuff and yeah. So let me see. Give me one good reason why you find a reason to hide from yourself. As the seasons change, and so does pain, find the time for your health. Ooh. Ooh.
Days and weeks go ahead and blow by me. Every day I sit and think, just sit and think. Days and weeks go ahead and blow by me. Every day I sit and think, just sit and think.
It's little. I just made this tiny guy. In this
So it became like a kind of like a self-care kind of video, and I think it was honestly like me speaking to myself, but it's also like putting that message out there for folks too, especially like in this season, like a lot of different things happening, COVID, family, all these different things, and like one of my biggest things that kind of been like directed to me is like take some time for self-care. And so yeah, I guess it was like kind of like something telling me before that I knew that I needed to, you know. Yeah,
That's how it works sometimes, isn't it? Like the muse or whatever, the spirits, whatever, our higher power that direct us through the way that they know we're paying attention. Through the things that we want to pay attention to, whether it's music or storytelling or whatever. And then next thing you know, like, oh yeah, this was really about me, right? But this was for me.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I really like that piece, Jeremy.
Yeah. And before I forget, because sometimes I forget, one of the things that I wanted to tell folks that's like thinking about doing audio, that do audio, that don't know really what to do, one of the biggest things that I've been thinking about is like getting audio into film. I said that, but like audio, it's people who will like pay you to do stuff, to use some of your music, like sync music in TV shows, in movies and stuff like that. And also you could just start working with somebody who's here, like, it ain't like we all got a whole bunch of money, but then you can get grants. There's people who help write grants and stuff like that. And I do booking through Dance and Creatives, and they've been really helping me a lot with that kind of stuff. And making sure that I don't get kind of bogged down with the time and stuff like that, because sometimes it's like a lot required from you and like not really support on the back end, for you to really spend that time on it. And so they're like, no, you should be focusing on this. You already got a full-time job, stuff like that. And we're trying to get it to where you doing what you do all the time, and you don't need to get like too mixed up with everything else, all these different projects, because you want to help people solve problems instead of tell their stories. So those things, I just said 3 things. Sync music to like get it on TV shows, films, all of that kind of stuff. Getting somebody to kind of manage that, book, help you to filter out all the different jobs, but help you to kind of stay on the path that you want to be on, and to help you present your work so people can be like, hey, this is actually somebody we want to work with, because you can have the greatest work, but if a lot of times if people don't see it, it's like they don't really know, or they don't really see that value. I mean, it's sad to say that, but it has to be kind of shined in a certain light for people to see that value, and not everybody go value it in that way. And yeah, that'll be a longer talk, but yeah.
Those are good pieces of advice. Absolutely. Especially creative makers in Indigenous communities, because we are so community oriented. We just had that conversation in the last session about, the community, and how do we do what we do in the best way that we can to have the most impact, and then empower others to pick up the, other work as well. And I think Chaz is doing this in a great way. Chaz, do you want to pick up on that?
Yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to be yourself when you write music. I think there's too many artists that just try to repeat what somebody's already done. Try to create something fresh and something new, and then you're gonna stand out tenfold than all these other artists that are trying to sound the same. You know, that's like the best advice I can give to somebody is just be yourself, try something new, you know, and be confident of in whatever you do, you know, stand behind it, get it out there, push it, you know, go to radio stations, you know, radio stations welcome musicians, you know, they love getting new music. So that would be a great place to start. And also just get it out there on social media. I mean, it's free, you know, YouTube, Facebook. It doesn't cost you anything to get your music there, and there's tons of people that are going to hear it. And just, yeah, promote yourself if you have music, and be confident, be proud of yourself, be proud of who you are, no matter what ethnicity you are or where you come from. Be proud, and that'll show. That means a lot to people.
Yeah, it's infectious, right? When people see somebody that's really empowered and they feel proud of themselves and they're sharing it, then they want to do that as well. It's like, oh yeah. And even if it comes about as like, well, I could do that, you know, I think that's from my perspective. I'll stumble out and I'll try something and people are like, you know, she's doing it, I can do that.
Exactly. Just own it, and people will remember that.
Where can we hear your stuff? SoundCloud?
Yeah, we're nope, not on SoundCloud. I'm kind of like anti SoundCloud, but we are on Spotify. We're on YouTube, Facebook. Yeah, we also have a website, www.warbonnetofficial.com. You can find all of our information there, plus music, and buy music, buy a t-shirt. You don't have to, you can just enjoy, and leave a comment, leave some feedback. But we're out there. The best place to hear us is live, though. Because these songs, they have a spirit to them, they have the energy, and you feel that. You know, it's still in the CD, but you know, when it's when the volume is cranked up, and you can just feel more, I think, at a live show. And we try to, I like saying, we don't play music, we render it. You know, because like playing something is like hitting play on a CD. So I like to say we render these songs because these songs have spirit. And I draw inspiration for the War Bonnet stuff from my culture, and you can hear that in the music, that powwow sound, those drums, and even the melodies, the guitar melodies and the vocals, it's all in there. That's where I draw all my inspiration. I also get a lot of music, in our culture, like our dreams mean something, and a lot of these songs have come to me from dreams. In the middle of the night, I have a guitar right next to my bed, and I'll have a dream and of music. A lot of times, like these melodies and guitar riffs and vocal melodies come to me, and I've also had all these spiritual dreams, and a lot of my songs came from that. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's like something that's beyond me, you know, because I couldn't have thought of stuff like the stuff that I write. It's just really intense. I have songs about some of the old chiefs. I have songs about Geronimo. I have songs about Sitting Bull. Songs about Red Cloud. Songs that are about reservation issues, missing and murdered Indigenous women. But then there's also like positives. You know, I try to keep everything that I do in that realm positive, but there's definitely some things we need to raise awareness of. So that's just another tool. Music is another tool to help change, to make people aware. It's a powerful tool.
Yeah, music and media, it's all about, getting our message out there, telling our own stories, controlling the narrative. I mean, that controlling word, but putting our own narrative out there, making sure that we have the final edit on whatever's being sent out there. And that's important stuff.
Yeah, it's liberating too. It makes you feel better as a person, and then there's other people that relate to it. And it's amazing feeling when you can change somebody's day to positive, and definitely make a difference in a person's life through your art. It's an amazing feeling. And Jeremy, that was a beautiful video and a beautiful song.
Thank you. Yeah, you mentioned culture, and like I'm always thinking that way of connecting stuff a lot of times, whether or not it's like physical connections, like historical connections, like whatever, or just a similar thing. And that I remember when I first came up here, and like I said, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and it's like the history there is so complex and stuff like that, and like even like in my family, it's like in most African Americans, I mean, it was like we mostly African, European, Native American, all these different things, because it's a very complex history. And like you say, a lot of that we pull, like it's like these different, backgrounds, are like these different cultural, things that, whether you raised with it or not, all of these different things that kind of come out, like we're directed to, all of that kind of stuff. And I remember like one of the first, it was the first powwow I came to here. I was like filming it, for the studio. I was a work study student then. And I remember looking and seeing like how everybody was like going around. I was like, oh, this is kind of like how it's similar to like dance we do. And it's not like what we do is not traditional. It's more like, just everyday kind of dance, but it was like crazy. And I remember like calling one of my friends, and like, because it was like, I can't really say how it is. You have to look up how people from like Baton Rouge and then like New Orleans, like how people dance, and like it's so crazy, and just seeing that, but then also understanding like it is some different connections in that way, and yeah, that is so crazy how a lot of the stuff that we feel like is new or something like that, and it comes from those different like those different histories and those folks who was doing it before, and it's like, dang, that's crazy, so.
And then you think, that inspiration or whatever, even the desire to want to enjoy that, or you seek it out, like it's in our DNA, right? And we don't necessarily think about it. It's not on the front of our minds, but it's there, and it sparks something, it's like, oh yeah, because like other stuff doesn't necessarily do that. Like I don't feel that way about all music or all podcasts or all films or all, but some of them I go, oh, yeah, and then that draws me in, and that's really powerful stuff when it's coming from other Indigenous people that are telling their stories in a way that because we don't see it in mainstream as often as we should. And I said this, and I think yesterday when we were talking with Missy, like when we study, in for school, we study English class, like alphabet and all the way up through whether we want to take a master's or a PhD, like there's an English class involved in all that. Imagine if it was like Indigenous music, right? Imagine if that was like, if we were immersed in it all the time. If we were immersed in Indigenous media all the time, what would that be? What would our productions be at that level? Where it would, like, that would be it. Like Yeah, we don't know, but we could try to strive for that and strive for indigenizing, what we do. I mean, there's beauty in that, and then there's beauty in the connection where we overlap. There's beauty in because all of humanity has this this desire to connect, right? And now we're connecting via media, now via Zoom. We're doing it here in Zoom. We just have a few minutes, guys. So if you want to wrap up, leave us with something, whatever that might be. I'm really glad that we had this time here. Both of you, I've had the opportunity to work with on different things, and I'm so grateful for you taking the time with us today. I only look forward to other things, other projects we can work together on. And if there are people in the audience who want to connect with you, maybe you can put some of that information in the chat for them, or you can tell them now, and however you want to wrap it up. But thanks so much for being with us.
It's awesome. Thanks for having me, Liz. And I love the work that you do at the college down there, and you've done shows for us up at KBFT with your band, and it was awesome just watching you perform. You're such, and I love your Facebook live videos with your family playing, and it's such a huge inspiration to see that, your whole, you jamming with your whole family. It's awesome. And I hope someday I can reach that level, and I'll have a big family to jam with. Just thanks again for having me. For more information, you can always find me on Facebook. If you have any questions there, just shoot me a message, and I'll gladly respond. Check out War Bonnet on Facebook. At our website as well, www.warbonnetofficial.com. And miigwech.
Miigwech Kegin. Jeremy?
The point that I wanted to make with it was, just be it, like, whenever you're inspired by different things, like, that's always good too. These different things throughout life inspire us. And with this one, I had just watched that series with like Jason Momoa on Netflix called, what was it called? Frontier. Frontier. And I remember thinking, like, because I was already trying to see about doing like music for film, and I created like a little short thing, a little short score for us to use here at the college. And I used some of like the background takes that the guys, it was a group. Well, they aren't, I don't think they're officially a group anymore, but they were Big Red, it was like a few years ago, and they came and recorded a CD here. They recorded here, and then Stonebridge Singers recorded here, but I used like some audio from that, and I'll show that later. But whenever we're about to leave here, whenever we're wrapping this up, I'll just play it in between. Current projects, I'm working at Fond du Lac Tribal Community College. I do my booking through dancing, and we do some projects. I've been working with ACO up in Duluth, the NAACP. Shout out to Mia Villiard. Moved the culture back home. I'm here, but I do a lot of work back home. I'm on a board for In Progress down in St. Paul, and Oldenburg House here in Carlton. So those are two different organizations to kind of look into, especially In Progress down in the cities, man. They do a lot for like youth, like there. Red Lake, Chris has been doing some stuff there for a long time too. And yeah, just like I was saying earlier, being intentional, with all of these things that we do say, that we're involved with and stuff like that. I remind myself, and I say that to people, it's not like I got it all figured out. Anything, I mean, with most things is like, you know, it's people who are basically like, I guess, like experts at it or whatever, but they're still learning. So I mean, it's like anything, you know, we learning, and you know, when people ask, you know, when you learn certain things, you just share that, and I'm big on that. But yeah, be intentional and share. I mean, learn and share.
Yeah, that's a great way to close up. Be intentional. I put it in the chat. I was just thinking there was some great quotes out of each session today. We could put that together and package it up. See, now my mind's just going. So miigwech for the inspiration, gentlemen. Our next panel coming up will start at 5 o'clock with a Native Report about reporting on Indigenous issues. This is a nationally syndicated Native news program that comes right out of Duluth. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be back at 5 o'clock. Thanks for being here with us at Thunder inDIGIfest 2021.